Okay, the broadcast is live. Can you hear? Did you hear my last question?
Yeah. So, um, welcome to this episode of the Freedom Floor Weekly Podcast. Kirsty, if you want to introduce where we are, we've been in the back end of the studio for a few minutes, and so little technical mix up there, but we're live and we are rolling. So, hey, Kirsty,
Okay, sweet. Okay, guys. Well, we're sorry. It's what 7:08 right now, so we're a little bit behind,
we were
but
on time, but we were in the back end, and
we were in
that's
the back end of the studio. That's okay.
yeah.
Stuff. I'm gonna introduce Chauncey. I get to brag on him, so I get to brag again. This will be my second time bragging.
I can hear. I'll listen again. I'll listen.
So I'm introducing Chauncey. We're here today to talk about how to scale and grow your business using federal contracting as a vehicle to move your business forward. And Chauncey is the perfect person to do that because he's been doing this for so long. And I've watched him do it in his personal life. I've watched him do it in his business, where he has inspired and helped other people reach their goals in business and in personal life. So it's good to see him like really venture out into consulting and the other things and courses and stuff, because the level of expertise there is just tremendous. Um, Chauncey is a licensed general contractor whose primary client is the U.S. Department of Defense. Chauncey holds a bachelor's degree in construction management and an MBA in project management with 15 plus years of experience in proven growth as a business strategist. Now, during the pandemic, he was able to grow his own firm, S&A Contracting, to over 300% while in the pandemic. He opened I believe it was 3 satellite offices, and he's now bringing his expertise to us and other women-owned businesses and aspiring business owners like us. So, Chauncey, you want to chime in and tell us a little bit about what you do from your perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. So Kirsty, you are always on me to try to help people understand what federal contracting is. So many times, people hear me say I'm a general contractor, and they think it's just doing patios or painting houses or something like that, and which all that is a part of it, and excellent trades. But we operate at a different level when it comes to who our customers.
Let's see, Chauncey might have frozen. We might have lost Chauncey. Hold on one second. Let's see.
We are having some technical. Okay.
There we go.
Okay. All right. So we had a little signal issue drop there. Hopefully it'll let us get through the rest of this deal. If not, we're gonna have to come back in and choose a different platform and get this up and out to the people. But essentially, what federal contracting is, who I do business with, who we work with, the Army Corps, the Air Force, uh, the Navy, and uh, want people to understand that the federal government is the largest spender in the world. That they buy everything from everyone, right? The federal government is not a bunch of W-2 employees in the sense that we know business, but they hire everything out from the sandwiches and the meals that they provide to the soldiers, to um, the machines that they use, to the building, even the buildings, right? Like lease spaces. So in terms of realtors and real estate, there's a market with the federal government. Um, so it doesn't matter what industry you're in, what your specific trade is, what your specific skill set is, there's an opportunity for you to sell your services to the federal government. Um, we looked at some stuff that's consulting, right? They hire professionals to come in and teach their staff and teach their folks in terms of seminars and webinars and trainings all the time. So there's no limit to what it is that you can do with the federal government. I happen to be just a third generation contractor who does civil construction, right? So we do roads and bridges and levees and foundations and a lot of the big heavy civil, which is just flat work. It's a impressive way to say flat work. Civil, anything that's dirt on the ground is civil. But when people hear the government, they think of infrastructure, right? The infrastructure bill, the infrastructure money that's coming down, and then that is just roads and building highways. But it's so much more to it than that. All the lawn maintenance deal, the socks that they uh, furnish and sell. We literally just looked at a job to provide bedside toilets, right? To provide porta potties. It is every single thing you can think of. You can buy it, you can sell it, you can provide those services and resources to the federal government.
That's really good. I'm glad you said that because, of course, you are, you've, like you said, you're a third generation contractor, and this is your family. Like, this is like legacy. This is what you do. And I often hear you say, I live, sleep, breathe this industry. And you do. Like, I feel like you could do it with your eyes closed, but this is a thing for you. But for me, or somebody who does something completely different, like you're like, they buy and sell anything, but do you have to love it is the thing. Because I'm a fashion designer, artist, singer songwriter. I'm just a creative, and then of course I do business, entrepreneurship. But for somebody like me who's not dedicated to, civil flat work, building bridges and changing lives, that's y'all slogan.
That's a good plug.
I know, but for somebody who like me who's not that, how can I get into federal contract, and why would I want to?
No, really good question right there, Kirsten. And you are the perfect example, right? I've been trying to get you to engage this arena for a really long time. And because you didn't see it for that, you didn't understand, you're like, I am not getting into construction. I'm not getting into contracting because you didn't want to not do the passion and the business and the work that is Freedom Fluid. But no, you don't have to be in love with federal contracting. This talk, this session, this opportunity is not a plea to get people to change careers. Not at
Right.
all. What I want to do is present the opportunity and show everyone how this could be a vehicle to resource what your real dreams and goals are. Right? Like you, the whole purpose of this talk, you won a $500,000 contract, and you are not a construction professional. You didn't switch over and say, hey, now I'm going to start doing all this construction work. It didn't happen that way. You said, I need the resources, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then by leveraging who you are in this country, you are positioned for opportunity, right? So the government has, I think, in 2020 it was $145 billion allocated to small business, right? And that's only like 24, 25, maybe 26% of their annual spending, right? And so it's scaled and grown since then. And that is just a quarter of what they allocate. In that $145 billion, there's so much allocated to women-owned businesses,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so there's so much that they want to get, and rarely do they spend their budget. Rarely do they do enough business with the goal, the slice of that 26, the slice of that $145 billion is intended to go to women-owned small businesses,
Mm-hmm.
right? But there are not enough
Those are
women
called
positioned.
set asides, right?
Set asides. That's exactly right. So we live in America, right? You have to have these socioeconomic identifications, these groupings and classifications as to who we are, right? And as a woman and as a Black woman, you are positioned for opportunity. There's intentionality, but don't mistake it. People think that, so much going to small business. That's only 26% of the overall spending budget, right? Of the rest of it is larger contracts, larger contractors, right? And so
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. And so they rarely hit their number. I'm in these meetings, I'm going to these seminars, I'm talking to these military professionals, and rarely do they hit their quota to get it. But so they need more competent women-led businesses to do business with,
Yeah.
right? They're intentional to try to help and grow. But I found that it's just a matter of positioning, right? A matter of awareness. And that's the gap that we want to close right there. We want to build a bridge over that sea. Everybody, federal government, there's a lot of red tape. There's this and there's that, and there is, right. But I have had the opportunity to work in that space for long enough to be able to help you guys navigate it. In case in point, Kirsty, you've navigated it and you haven't let go of what your business, right? You haven't let go of Freedom Floor, but now you are in a spot where you're gaining resources so that you can now propel and really push your passion forward, your business, your entity, the Freedom Floor movement, push it forward.
Right. That's really good. So when you were talking, one of the things I wanted to ask you about is like age and demographics as far as being a part of this industry and getting in this industry. Like if you were older, we already know like how it is, with women in the industry, and how the resources are there, but the access, and one of the things with access is like people really need to know, like, like voices like ours and other people who are in the industry, like they have to be elevated so that people can have access. The people who are in these different socioeconomic groups can actually get the access that they need. When people are like, oh my gosh, the government spends so much money, or this industry gives out so many grants or so many this to women or Hispanic women or black women or women in general. Well, it doesn't matter if we don't know about it. If a whole year passes and they were giving millions and millions of dollars away to women who were starting businesses and we didn't know about it, then that doesn't benefit us at all. So this is important because we're elevating our voices so that women can get the access that they need. But this is one of those industries where it's like, okay, I'm going to be in a room full of men who are just a room full of men, and I've maybe not sat at these type of tables before. It's government, it's military, you're behind emails and like the level of like management or whatever you're needing to move through that. So what does that look like? Like those like age demographics, could that be a hurdle? Like what are we looking at for women?
Well, it's like any industry, right? It's there are standards and there are kind of normatives, I guess, not standards, but more normatives of the way that it is set up, the way that it has been. But that's why the government is intentional. EEO, right? Equal employment opportunity, right? Understanding that just the nature and the history of this country, if it were up to the quote unquote establishment, there would be the resources would stay in the same lanes, right? And
Right.
so what they've done is say, hey, these programs exist, these opportunities exist. We're being intentional to now open up the door. But again, like you said, if we don't know about it, how can we take advantage of it? How can we engage it? And so there's no limitation, right? There's
Mhm.
absolutely no limitation. There's no age requirements. There's no barriers that will stop you from participating, from being positioned, from doing business with the government as a woman, as an elderly person, whatever your nationality is, whichever way you identify, whoever you are,
Mhm.
you can be in position. You can do business with the government. You have whatever your skill set is, whatever your passion is, whatever your product is. There's a place to sell it to the federal government. So absolutely no barriers on that.
Okay. Somebody asked a great question in the chat. I'm able to see the comments, and it says, how are you able to overcome the past performance requirement that is traditionally a requirement to win contracts? That's a great
That's a
question.
very good question. That's a really good question. Um, so little do people know is that you are able to um, realize, market, and express, represent the past performance of anyone on your team, right? Even if your business is a startup and you've not done any work before, you can leverage the people that are in your network, if they're part of your team, and then say, hey, we have experience in this, because it's the individuals who bring the credibility, right? It's with bonding, it's with banking, it's with all of these different lanes and entities that people say, hey, your business doesn't have any credit or whatever, but who are you? Right? Who do you have on your team? what have you done, right? Because ultimately you are the person or the team that's going to deliver whatever this thing is. So you can leverage any experience that you have had in your past or anybody that is on your team. Another way to get over that is to partner, right? We have to, as small businesses, as minority communities, we have to get over the misnomer that uh, your success costs me something,
Yeah.
right? Like you winning, it doesn't cost me anything. If I'm on my track and doing my business, the guy downtown or whatever, his W's don't cost me L. What costs me is what I do and what I engage. So we have to be able to collaborate and pull people in. And so partnerships are a big thing. That's really a big, big key to being successful as a small business. Is there another company, another firm, another group that you can connect with? And then from
Mhm.
there say, hey, let's link up. And then from there, the government will accept their past performance or consider it for your opportunities. Really good question.
Great question. So, as far as going about that, would that look like some mentor protege opportunities within the SBA? Because on the SBA's page or whatever, it talks about different ways that they connect with people who are trying to win government contracts. Would that be a way to do that? Or, like you said, connecting with um, other people, adding other people to your team who have significant qualifications, like maybe they worked in banking or what or something like that, but their resume looks like, okay, hey, this is my past performance for that. What do you think?
So business is business, but it's always doing business with people, right? And so never negate that. So you want to be really careful about who you go into business with, right? What is y'all's relationship? What is the expectation? Can you be in bed with this person in that way, right? Like deeply involved with business, things like that. So there's certain levels of commitment that you should engage based on your comfort level and your awareness and your relationship with the other party, right? So it could be as light as a subcontract, right? You don't have to have a mentor project MPA where now we have this linked up deal and our companies linked up and we have this obligation to each other, or it doesn't have to be a formal teaming agreement, or you don't have to do a joint venture to where now we have these entities and you do all this back end work to get partnered up. You can strictly have a subcontract agreement, and then the weight of the subcontract will support, and a lot of the contracting officers and a lot of these government agencies will consider, okay, hey, you have a strong partner. You can call them that as far as formal business, marrying up. It could be just as simple as a subcontract.
Right. Okay, so that's really great information. Great question. Let me see if
Great
anybody
question.
has
I'm
questions.
liking these questions.
Okay, so we got another question. It says, or maybe it's not a question. Let me see. If it's so achievable, why aren't more people building their businesses around federal contracting? That's a great question.
They don't know. Most people do not know how to access it. There's a lot of red tape, right? There's a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of formal back end business formation, structural things that you have to do. There's a laundry list of application, right? Kirsty's did the woman owned small business deal, and it's been months in the process, right?
I'm
And
like,
it's
what all
been
do you need to recognize that I'm a woman? I'm like trying to qualify myself as a woman-owned business. I'm like, guys,
and I'm able to
it
help
takes a
her,
while.
navigate those questions, and then say, hey, this is what they're asking for. Here's how to respond, right?
Right.
Because I've
Mhm.
been doing it, But the reason that most people aren't using this vehicle to build their businesses, build their dreams, and create generational wealth is because they don't know. One, most don't know that it exists. And when you
Right.
hear federal contract, you think it's some road project only. And from there, the red tape, right? It's so much red tape because a lot of small business people are great craftsmen, right?
Yeah.
We know our trade, we know our industry,
Mhm.
we are passionate about it. But then when it comes to scaling, you have to do business as well,
Yeah.
right? We live in America. This is capitalist economy, and there's, you know, rules and there's regulation and there's insurance and there's banking and there's licensing and there's all of these things that are technical parts of doing the business. And so, half of your stuff is I'm doing business, and the other half is I am doing my product, doing my passion. And it's the marriage of those that allow people to take advantage of the federal market, and that's where I'm closing the gap. Because Kirsten, we didn't really lean into it, but before we engaged in federal contracting, it was hard, right? We were having a hard time
Season for
as a
sure.
family. I was a startup, and had just split from family business and was trying to do my own thing and did not have the resources, did not have the back end, having a hard time making payroll, so much so that it made it to the house. We were about to lose our house, card. I mean, it was really, really rough. So then I said, okay, you know what? I have this experience in federal government. I have to switch my efforts and energy over into this industry, right? And as opposed to the municipal, the commercial, the city, the Kroger's and the residential stuff. I said, okay, let me engage the federal market. And so I did. And immediately I got a $1.6 million contract. A couple years later, we are in the pandemic, grew 300% and doing it. And it's just a matter of knowing how to navigate that market. And when we scaled from where we were from that season to, offices across different states, work across different regions, I was like, hey, I have to package this up and help people learn to navigate this, because a lot of people with great ideas, great competency, but they are stuck in tighter markets, or they don't know how to navigate that. And so that, I hope that kind of answers that question, is people not engaging it because they don't know the vehicle exists, or they don't know how to then get over the hurdles, to cut through the red tape to bring their business to the federal government.
That's really good. Really, really good. Because, I always say, like, people have no clue what this is. And some people do. We run into people who are like, um, my grandmother or this person in my family was able to, grow generational wealth for our entire family, doing federal contracting, or, doing contracting in this way. And that's amazing. But so that story is like so rare. Like, I don't hear it very often. So when I hear it, I'm like, there's not a whole lot you're going to have to, train this individual on, because it's there. The awareness is there. But this is all about like bringing the awareness to the fact that anybody can do this. And
Yeah,
really,
speaking of that friend, it was the service industry. You know what I'm saying? She
yeah.
was, her grandmother, shout out Tammy, her
Hey,
grandmother was doing cleaning, right? It was a cleaning service that she had, and she just was able to get one contract and scale and grow and grow and grow. And that, I mean, that industry right there is one that hits really hard when it comes to opportunities to grow with the federal government. So you're absolutely right, Kirsten. Absolutely right.
that's really good. Okay, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think a really important thing, I'm really glad you shared our story about like what we personally walked through, because this isn't this ethereal thing that's in the sky and we're talking about it and we have no connection to, it in that way. But we do, because, we went through the season that we went through, and we're like, man, we got to figure out something different. And I think entrepreneurship is all about that anyway. If you have an entrepreneurial spirit, it's all about, you've got to have grit. It just is what it is. People talk about grit and grace, but you need some grit if you're going to navigate the entrepreneurial waters, because sometimes it's challenging. And the biggest thing that we're talking about right now is that, women need access to capital for businesses. And that was my thing. I think my thing, bringing my story into it, is that we threw all this stuff on the board. Like, if you guys saw the reel on Instagram, that reel was not from the day that we won the contract. That was from the months ago when we sat in the office and we said, okay, we need to raise money for Freedom Fluor. And how in the world are we going to do this? So we just started throwing things on the board. Federal contracting was one of them. And I'm like, oh, okay, federal contracting. I'm going to have to, I don't want to get into a whole new industry right now. I got to really focus on this business and what my passion is with Freedom Fluor. But we threw everything on the board. Like, we need to do crowdfunding. We need to, consider who investors are, who invest in the work that we do. And so we have all these things on the board, and we just went through going through them, and something bit, like we bit, we threw our rope out there, and then something bit. And so we're like, oh my gosh, we won a contract, and that's like throwing your hat out there. Like, just throw your hat out there and see what you can do. And I love that inside of like when you're learning on your platform, Chauncey, on your courses. And Chauncey offers courses through his program. So he's got, a ton of courses that you can go through that are self-paced. Yeah, you can go to, if you see the link up there, www.chaunceyhorton.com. And you can actually go on there and register for the courses and take them at your own pace.
Click on the masterclass link. There's a masterclass link, and then there are different levels of partnership that we offer. The courses are there. How to get positioned. I saw a comment. Someone asked, with a PR firm, never knew how to really get going and in it. So in that course, we walk you step by step through the red tape. Where are the portals? What are the sites? What do you say? What are they asking? Where to go? how to position, all of those things, how to get yourself aligned with the federal government. So you can click that link and go to the masterclass. There's some other information on there. Don't worry about that, but just go to the masterclass deal, and then you can. There's different options where you can take self-paced course and do it there. There's one where we can have a couple of one-on-ones, and I can talk to you specifically about your business. You take the course, and we'll go through it. And then there's a cohort that we offer occasionally. I don't know what we got to. My man Peter, we got to get on the schedule and see when the next one is that we're going to do. But that's exactly it. Peter and I, like when I said, I got to get this to people and help people cut through the red tape. We got together, recorded these videos, and they live there. So yeah, that's definitely a solution for how to get started, right? How to physically do it. There's always, you go to the SBA office and go to these different the
Oh my God.
P-tax.
Y'all,
You go to the all these, and they mean well. Those people
and
are
they're great.
government
Those are
employees,
great
and
resources.
they
Yeah.
do great. But there is another level of how do you get from idea and getting dollars in your pocket?
Mhm.
That's what it is. Entrepreneurs, we don't, we see it all the time. People have um, they get the website, they get the email, they get the business cards, and they are in business. They get the LLC, but they're not earning any money. And that's not the goal. That's not the goal.
Not
Is to,
sustainable, number one.
yeah, it's not sustainable, right? You
No.
got to pay taxes, you got to do all that stuff. You can do some of your living stuff through it, but the goal is to make money and to change your life and the trajectory of your kids and your family and next generation. And federal contracting is that opportunity, and so our desire is to get from idea to earning, right? If you got those structures. So the course, is not legal financial direction, but it is how to take your stuff and get it in front of the federal government. Um,
That's really good.
yeah, yeah.
That's really good. I have somebody has a question here. She said, well, it's not a question, but I've heard about it for a while, but it was intimidating and wasn't sure where to start with having a communication and PR firm.
Right. Yep. 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 I saw that one. And so, for whoever that is, you can go to the site there, click the link, hit the masterclass, see which of those plans are right for you, and that's going to help you cut through that red tape. It is intimidating. It's a big mountain. They're big packages. There's a lot of information, but you could do it. Right. We're
Yeah.
here. You could do it. We're here to help. Um, that's the name of the game. So
I was
yeah,
gonna
don't
say
be intimidated.
I was gonna say too, because I mean, it's work. Anything that's good, that's worth anything, guys. Like we don't want to sell you. I don't want to sell anybody a dream. Anything that's worth anything is going to be work. So you put your hat on and decide, like, hey, in the afternoons, when my kid is going to bed, or when I have time at lunch, I'm gonna look through this course and I'm gonna take this course. I'm talking to women here. There's men here I see as well that are asking questions. For women, we have some different dynamics, and we have some, a lot of different things, like, especially if you're caring for a home and family and all those different types of things. We have to figure out ways that we can lean in and actually educate ourselves while we are still stewarding families and homes and everything else that comes with that. So for that, I say to us, I'm challenging us as women to carve the time out. If you're going to take the course, if you're passionate about legacy and leaving something behind for yourself, like having something now, legacy, yes, but having something now and leaving something behind for the future and growing your business, finding another way, a creative way to grow your capital for your business, grow revenue for yourself, then take the time. 5, 10, 15 minutes in the evening on a lunch break, pop the video on while you're working out and listen to these courses. After you finish the courses, if you have questions, you need to go on, you need to book a one-on-one with Chauncey. You just it's the best. I've sat through and I've listened to his classes. I've taken his classes just to make sure that he's giving people the right stuff. Okay, because I'm an analyst. Okay, so by nature I'm going to be like, no, you need to redo that part of it. But he's giving people the game. He really is. This is not a joke or a hoax. Like, this is open access to what you need to get yourself, like Chauncey said, from just dreaming and talking about it to actually earning. And one more caveat there: when I was in college, I went to school at ULM. When I first got out of high school, ULM is in Louisiana. For those who are not here on Louisiana, but I went to school and I was like, I put my business plan together, at that time the SBA was on ULM's campus. They had like an office there, so they were helping me with my business plan. They were putting, red markings and all the things all over it. And I said, I'm going to start a clothing boutique. It's going to be called Deluxe. And I had all these ideas. Got my executive summary, my marketing plan. I'm all downtown in Monroe, and I am finding out what office spaces cost to lease, and just all the things, meeting with top officials and different things in the city. And even though I had that grit and that grind to do that, once I put all the things together and like what am I going to need financially, I'm like, the base of what I was going to need is like over $250,000. And then I hit that wall. It was like, automatically I need money to make money. I was like, wow, like how am I going to get here? And it was years and years and years before I was able to actually realize this dream, because there is the red tape. There is the, how do I actually get the funding for this business? And so for women, I really want you to think about that, because here I am now and I'm accessing capital to my business, and I'm doing something that I intended and set out to do years ago, but I'm doing it now and I'm actually able to actualize it. So again, we're not on the surface and trying to sell you a dream. We're trying to sell you, you get in here and you do the work so you can actually make your dreams come to life. So
put the
like I said,
plug up there for women like that, the life, that love that you're giving right now. Women, go to the FF Social Club and join that community, right? Because we need community. We need people that's going to cheer us on, that understands, what we are doing, what the obstacles are, and to be that spot of accountability, right? To provide that support, that backbone for it. And so it really is important, your circle, your network, and how you approach what it is that you're doing. So go to that link there, that site, ffsocialclub.com, and then be a part of what Kirsty and the Freedom Fluid team is building. You can also access the courses there. So if you join in, I think those courses will be live after this conversation. So if you join the social club, and I think there's going to be a social club discount for, I think maybe the next, I don't know, 7 or 10. I don't know. Kirsty will put it out there. You decide, Kirsty, whatever you do, I'll honor it. Okay. You can put in there, you think about it. But somebody had a comment that I want to respond to in the chat. O'Neill, I saw that. How many RFPs did you respond to before you got your first contract? Me personally, it was my very first one. No, both of us. Actually,
both of us. Oh, you?
Yes,
okay.
Both of our firms were successful on our very first attempt, right? And then I talk about that in the course. Doing business, winning these awards, getting these contracts is so much more positional than it is practical, right? There's a way, that's the way to cut through the red tape. There's a lot of people who get involved and get positioned, and they are bright-eyed and bushy-tailed about the federal market changing their lives, and it doesn't happen for them. You have to understand that it's people, right? In business, whether you are taking on partners, you're doing the federal government, you're doing business with people. And so there's a way to position yourself to where you can be successful early and you can be successful often. And we've had those experiences. And so that's where partnering with the right community, being in the right spaces, getting the right information helps you do it, and there's a level of excellence and expertise and presentation and technicality that goes into anything that you do, right? But even more than that, the federal government, you can access it and you can crack that nut with a lot more positional effort than what most people think. And so, we're here to support that piece of it as well.
Yeah, to be completely honest, I was mind blown. I'm like, the first contract that we bid, we won. I was like, what? We won a contract? We were freaking out. I mean, we're still like, it was surreal. Like, did we just really win a contract? We just won a contract. What the heck? Okay.
And then there's another thing too, like I'm telling you, they buy everything from everyone. So there are some markets that are super hot, right? And there's some markets that are not. And if you're in tech, you want to be in Silicon Valley, right? Because that's where the concentration of the stuff is. But there's pros and cons. I mean, there's a lot of developers. There's a lot of people. Nashville, right? You want to be in music, you got to get around that campfire because everybody's doing music. But there's also a lot of competition. You can find, amazing musicians all over the place. In the same way, there's so many agencies and camps and bases and installations that exist, and they're looking for competent, quality people. If you can position yourself in some of the markets that are maybe not so saturated, you have to be intentional about what do they buy, what do I sell, what are my products, what are my services, who's buying it, then what's the level of competition. So I mean, there's a way to do it, right? And that's the part where we're not just saying, hey, fill out the paperwork and here's this elusive dream that you can do, but no, how do we position, right? And that's the part where we really are excited about opening up this door and showing people, how to take advantage of this vehicle.
I love it. I love it. There's so much more to talk about. There's so much more that we can get into, but there is a part two. So next Thursday, Chauncey is going to be joining us again. Chauncey, you want to give like a caveat on what you'll be chatting about next week, or?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So today, our goal was to talk about why, the federal contracting, why engage this market, and then what it is, right? A lot of people don't know what it is. They think
Mhm.
it's one or the other, as far as what you see on TV. This is
Yeah.
what the federal government is. So we want to just open people's awareness that is so much more to what is available in terms of doing business with the federal government. But the next week is going to be more of the how, right? Next week we're going to get into more of, some of the details of what you do. We'll pull apart some of the information that we have in the course. We won't have time to get into all of it for sure.
And plus,
But
you're gonna have to take the course. We can't give you the whole game. You
yeah, I mean,
got
if I could, I absolutely would. We won't have time to,
yeah.
and it won't be as one on one. You won't be able to stop it and record and do all the things and take the notes.
Mhm.
But next week we're going to talk more about how to get positioned. What are some of the things that you need to know and do, and that type of stuff. So today is why federal contracting. And
Yeah.
it can change the trajectory of your life, and for generations after you, and it changed ours. We talked
Yeah.
about how we had friends and family, helping us try to make payroll and pay our mortgage and
Oh, yeah.
different things like that. And we're so thankful, forever grateful, uh, to those individuals who came alongside of us and helped us through that hard season. But that's not sustainable, but this vehicle is sustainable. We were able to come out, make them whole. And I know every small business has that. How we gonna make payroll? How I'm
Yeah.
gonna pay my people? How I'm gonna get started? And
See, that was
all
a
of
real
those things.
thing.
And we want to,
Yeah.
eliminate that. We want you to get over that and get into the dreaminess of why you went into business for yourself, why you want to, and not even full-time entrepreneurship. I know a lot of people who become millionaires who had this on the side. They just hit their laptop a couple hours in the evening and they just do
Yeah.
buy and selling to the government. So there's so many ways. It's not a full out career change, but yeah. So the why and the what today, and next week we're going to talk about how. And so I'm excited for you guys in the FF Social Club and to be a part and contribute whatever it is that I can.
Amazing. Well, Chauncey, thank you so much for joining us with Freedom Floor and the FF Social Club. Thank you for helping us. And thank you for resourcing us and help us get to the point where we can close the wealth gap. This is not just for us, but this is for, I mean, the nation needs this. Like, we need the wealth gap to be closed so that we can all be sustained economically. So this is a small piece of the puzzle that we get to tap into. So thank you for being here with us.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys next week.